That's the power of Pine Song, baby.
Stop the cap.
The Ali Wong video that MHD did in thinking about it only, and her whole position, which is, just, vindicates Captain Solo and reinforces, the question that he already had, or the concept that he already had, because he was the one in the discussions that him and I have had that really questioned, like whether women were truly happy in their marriages. Let the feminists they'll tell you that, marriage in the 1950s through the 1970s was all rape, pillage, and plunder, and, the evil patriarchy abused women, and there were no benefits to marriage, and every woman in America was miserable, and the only reason why women got married is so that they could acquire resources from men. They didn't love their husbands were abusive, and they were locked into this system until Gloria Steinem came out and, feminism prevailed, right? That's what they'll tell you, right? Which is always funny because you have all these women who today, what do they want? They want to get married. But I've said before, even myself, I've pointed out that I think that a lot of women, they want the validation they get from marriage. They want to have their day, but they don't particularly care for the day-to-day operations of marriage. And you have all this redefining going on. And I don't have any issue with redefining, as long as it's like fair and equitable and it makes sense. But that's not what I see from the feminists. What I see is we want to have our cake and eat it too type of situations where, it's patriarchy a la carte. I'll have some of this, I'll have some of that, but all the reward stuff, that men get, we're going to take that out. And then they wonder why, today's young men don't see any value in marriage. Like the whole thing is flipped on its head. Like we went from, women are oppressed and the evil patriarchy, right? And I'm talking about like the universal concept of patriarchy. I'm not talking about black patriarchy or white patriarchy, just the concept of patriarchy itself, right? We went this idea that women were liberating themselves from the evils of marriage and all this other shit, right? Because patriarchy is evil, to now young men don't see the purpose in getting married. Like there's more disadvantages than advantages. You got to deal with the court system and, the fact that women are favored in the court system and then, child support, alimony, she gets the house, all that. Like, what do we get? The things that, men, the positive male identity that men get or would get or is traditionally expected to get from marriage, like women, are basically, they've tried to dismantle all of that. Right. So like we don't get the respect, we don't get the deference. So what is the point of us getting married? Right. And there's a lot of men that run around like, hey, I might as well just go out here and get the pussy and not, why get married? I can get the classic, I can get the cow without, the milk from the cow without having to buy it. Right. But none of this is really what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about, piggyback riding off of, Captain Solo's, question about like how many women were on this, like how many women, if in other words, if women didn't have to negotiate their survival with men in terms of, the acquisition of resources via getting married to a man and, just completely ignoring that the fact that, there was a social contract between men and women, but I'm saying removing that and eliminating that, right? How many women, if they had their own resources, wouldn't want to get married or not married in, any sort of concept of the traditional sense? Because the question I have, like listening to, Ali Wong, is do you really want to do the stuff that you want to do? It sounds like I was thinking to myself, the whole phrase penis envy. Like penis envy, it's too metaphorical. You say penis envy, like I ran penis envy. I'm like, have you ever had penis envy? I was running this by some women today, and one woman even responded like, no, I've never thought that, like I wanted to have a penis or I want to be a man. I'm like, that's not what penis envy is. Penis envy is, and I had to I laid it out. Let me see if I can find it. Where's this at? I'm gonna go scroll. I said no. Penis envy is when women are jealous of men. Excuse me, of what men are able to do in society, but women can't. Like example, a rich man can buy a Lambo, pick up women and fuck them. He's the man, and they're hot chicks having fun. Who got selected by the high value man. This validates them, right? So if I pull up in a Lambo and a bunch of freaking 19-year-old chicks, like they're just gonna be happy that they're in the Lambo. They're like, oh my god, nice car, da 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 da. And a guy with a Lambo thought we were so hot to, let us in in the Lambo, and then I go back, take him to the hotel, and fuck him, right? That's what men are able to do. But this dynamic doesn't work in the reverse. And some women hate that. And I talked about in the previous video, Ali, Wong, pulling up in the Lambo on Ocean Drive and hollering at some dude standing in line, and they get in the car, and then it's like, how's that going to play out? Like, how's that dynamic going to play out? Like I said, like he's going to have, you ever see these photos where they show like, I don't know, you typically it's like a white guy and he's in like some exotic European car, and he's got like just white women's legs like crisscrossed all over him, like he's got just white women stuffed in the car, right? But that doesn't, there's no equivalent for women, right? And this is what Ali Wong was saying, and she's 100% right. And this is what Patrice O'Neill, had said so many years ago about his whole analogy between, that's my theme music, that's my Jaws music as the male great white shark, right? But I said some women hate that, but it's like, damn, do you really want men acting like that? Do you really want men acting like women? Do you really want to reverse it and flip it on its head? And I gave the example, like she pulls up in a car and he's so impressed by what she's got, and now she's going to go bang him like he's her prize. Women say they want to do this. Do they actually want to do this? And this is what, I was trying to understand. I was like, do women really want to do this? Like, in other words, is it penis envy or power envy, or is it reward envy? You know what I'm saying? Like, reward envy, I think, is more of an accurate term, because what Ali Wong was talking about, the rewards aren't there, and I'll be the first one to admit it, because I'm like, I'm not going to be your cheerleader. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, you don't go to work and and produce and earn a living, and then I'm gonna be like naked on the bed covered in oil when you get home. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be, in the kitchen cooking for you with an apron on, with my ass out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not gonna happen. Like, I'm butt ass naked underneath this apron and I baked you cookies when you walk in the door. Right? And I'm saying, this is where we get into all this confusion where women get upset when men are like, I'm the prize. Like, I'm the prize. Now, you can interpret that different ways. Some men will say they're the prize because ultimately, they're the ones that are supposed to be the breadwinners and all that. Right. And then you get the ones that say I'm the prize because they see themselves as beautiful black men, and the way that black men have been promoted with hypermasculinity and mandingo status, and, Reggie Bush coming out of this pool with no shirt on, like they think that they're sex gods, right? So there's different ways to interpret, men saying that they're the prize, but all of it is just cringe when you really look at it, because in my opinion, the woman is supposed to be the prize. Like when you see two rams on National Geographic or something and they're butting their heads together, right? And the female's off in the distance watching them, right? And she gets with the victor, right? She's the prize at the end of the male contest of them, engaging in combat with one another. Some women, they don't like that idea. They want to throw up, gender equality, all this other stuff, in theory, but the reality is even women aren't attracted to any of that stuff. I know some women are going to jump up the nappy headed Jehovah's and the Tinoirs, who's to say, right? And then we got to have these stupid arguments when we know what the majority of people are on. You know what I mean? It's like the shit with this like LGBTQ bullshit. It's like 1 to 3% of the population is fucking gay, but yet, we got to have conversations like as though 50% of the population is gay, and that's just not even remotely accurate. But yet we have to frame our language and have these conversations as though, way more people are homosexuals than what the reality is. It's dumb. And I hate having conversations with women where you get like these weird, eclectic, like feminist type of women, and they're like, well, not all women think like, but the majority of them do. You know what I mean? The majority of women are heteronormative, cisgendered women. That's what they are. They're not on, the rainbow shit. Right? So I hate having those stupid arguments and conversations and whatnot. But continuing, is it power envy or is it reward envy? Like, again, women don't get the reward because it would literally require men to play the bitch position. You know what I mean? And maybe I shouldn't put it that derogatory, but that's what it would require. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? Like that would be a cool birthday present, for me or something like that, right? Like, you come home to your girl, and like me, I like fishnet stockings and black open-toed high heels. Drives me fucking crazy. Okay? Drives me crazy. Especially it with some lacy like lingerie, like where's the male lingerie? Is there? I mean, I know some women will be like, nigga with gray sweat pants shorts or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, there's no male lingerie. Like, we're not packaged like that. We're just not. You may like your man walking around in his boxers and he's got some strong legs and hamstrings and quadriceps. I know a lot of women that like that, right? Man with a strong lower half, like he squats and exercises and doesn't ignore, his legs and shit. He's adamant about leg day, right? I know plenty of women that think that that's sexy. I know women that think, man with a wide back is sexy. I know women who love arms. They think that is sexy. Like, there's a whole category of stuff that women think, is sexy. But this whole thing about like, do women really want that? Do you want your man to, be laid across the bed? And I don't even have to like make it a joke, like, he's in some pose that looks gay as fuck. Like, no, I just mean, is that what y'all want? When it comes to this, this whole reward situation, where it's like, yeah, I wanna be able to go out there and have dudes hop, whistle at them and have dudes hop in my car. And the weird thing is I don't know any women that find that attractive. Like, in other words, there's a difference between wanting to do that because you see men doing it. So there's like an envy there. How come they get to do that, right? And there is a reverse on the male side when you get anytime, this is the whole problem with women not wanting to play their role, because then when we go and we try to get men to play their role and they see women have this ability to play both roles, right? If she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, cool. If she wants to be a career woman, cool. But men are only allowed to play one role. They can't deviate from that role. And so, I like the way that Kat put it when we were having the discussion about it, because, it's like, yeah, women, it's variable for women. Men have to be constant. It's consistent what their role is. If we don't play that role, you're a loser, right? I mean, listen to all the crap Cynthia G talks on her page, right? Does that sound like there's any other role for black men to play? Right. Granted, a lot of these arguments came out of, black men demanding submission, and black women don't really want to play submissive at all. So now they're going to bring up all the patriarchal shit that they don't even fundamentally believe in the first place, and then use that to shame, black men, as some sort of shaming cudgel. But at the end of the day, you get my point. I'm saying women always reserve the right to shame men with concepts that, when they want to feel empowered, they want us to get off of. They want to be redefined. They want us to be more open-minded to operating in different ways whenever it is they feel like they want to do something different. Right? Because a woman can't operate differently than her traditional role if the man is operating in a traditional mindset. She can't do that. So she has to convince him to operate on something different. But then when the men operate on something different and then she changes her mind again, then in comes the shaming tactics of he's weak and he's pathetic and that's not what a real man does, and a real man, then she's comparing and contrasting him against other men. This is the reason why men hate women. If you ever want to say why men hate women, if we want to use that, terminology, that is why. The crazy, quacky inconsistencies, and then, at the end of the day, we get slammed for it. I can understand a woman, wanting to have power. I get that. But it's like, I have to ask, like, how far do you want to take that? You know what I mean? Like, how far do you want this? I want equal rewards. What do you want to grab me on the back of my neck and bend me over and fuck me in the ass? How far do you want to take this? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not down with any of that shit. I'm saying, even if I'm going to sit around and entertain it, like, how far do you want to take this? Is it the fact that you really in other words, it's like, do you really want to go out there and, fuck with a whole bunch of dudes? I mean, is that what you want just because we do it? I mean, again, I could throw the flip side. It's just like when men say the stupid shit like, well, she could give the baby up for adoption, so I should be able to walk away. It's like, why are you trying to equalize? She's being stupid. Why are you trying to equalize yourself to a stupid position? I don't understand that. And this is a struggle. Like, when women say they want equality and feminism and all this other stuff, and then, when you're trying to mentor young boys, injustice, inequality, all that stuff, like, human beings, they see that. And truth be told, it's not even a human being thing. It's an animal thing. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw that, the I think it was like the wolf versus the dog test or something like that. Where they had I don't know if they were wolves or dogs or both, but the woman, she had the little button that came out. She was like, press. You know what I mean? She kept giving the one dog or the one wolf, the reward for pressing the button, and then she wouldn't give the wolf. Man, that wolf was like, man, fuck your button and the plank it came on, fucking bit the thing off, you know what I mean, growled and everything else, because like, animals, even the wolf was incensed by, this whole, how he presses the button, he gets his treat. I press the button, I don't get, man, fuck this, I mean, he was getting agitated. So I'm like, human beings are the same way. So I do understand how women feel, but for some reason, women can't understand, how young men feel, where it's like, y'all said equality. And then again, women always reserve the right to retreat right back to, being women, right? Because it's optional for them. And because it's optional, because it's variable, that's why men have a hard time giving women that type of respect. Men shit is constant. No matter what, men got to hold it down. Like we already know how society feels about a man being a stay-at-home, a stay-at-home man. And I'm saying constantly, you know what I mean? I mean, if you go online, go on YouTube, all women don't agree on it's okay for a man to be a stay-at-home dad. All women don't agree with that. You know what I mean? Like you got women that are still, out here, what do the women call them? The handmaidens of patriarchy or something like that, or patriarchal identified women. They got all these type of derogatory terms, for these women. But if I'm a betting man, right, and I'm gonna, decide like what would be better, I'm gonna stick to, operating in patriarchy. Why am I gonna stick to operating in patriarchy? I'm gonna stick to operating in patriarchy because not only will I have, the power, the control, and all that, but I can respond to situations. I have the resources to do so and whatnot. I can correct things. I can fix things. Generally speaking, most women of the world are attracted to that, right? So, like, I have a greater pool that I have access to by operating in my manhood, right? Operating the other way, right, which is what the feminists would argue, gives me less access to women. So while we have all these, philosophical, sit in the college university and have women's studies talking points. The reality is the majority of the world doesn't fucking operate like that. You can be a patriarchal man. You can go to any community around the world and, get your due and get your respect. Okay? You cannot be a matriarchal man or a role reverse man and go around the world and get respect. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Even other men are not going to respect you. They don't want you to marry their daughters and you're not providing for them. You know what I mean? And so, I get the women that say, well, we need to change that and we want to transition out of that and we got to get everybody else on this shit. We will use media, in order to do it, right? And they've been making that push, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't even know how to expect to sell that to men when men already know if I step out of this box, I'm going to get roasted. If I step out of this, positive male identity of being a part of the patriarchy, I'm going to get roasted. So, yeah, men are going to defend that position. Meanwhile, women get to, well, if I want to be a career woman, I can be a career woman. If I want to be a stay-at-home wife, I can be a stay-at-home wife. Right. And again, that is, they have the option of doing it, but it's not something that is required of them. And so because it's not required of them, it's not expected of them, women only get 50% of the respect. And that's just what it is. And they hate that. But I'm like, it's not expected of you. And you see all the fighting and all the bitching and all the complaining anytime, some guy, jumps up and says, nah, that bitch said 50%. Nah, what does she bring to the table? Then all of a sudden, all the traditionalist people and the religious people come out and they want to name call the dude, and then you get the divestors and the black feminists. They'll jump up and say that there's something wrong with the dude, like, which is crazy because like, aren't you a black feminist? Aren't you for? And then you find out it comes down to we want to have our cake and eat it too. We want to reap the benefits of patriarchy without having to deal with male leadership. And they're trying to set that up. And again, it's so fucked up that men have no option other than to walk away, which is what black men are doing with this whole passport bros thing. They're walking away. They're not dealing with either that or choosing to be celibate, going monk, indulging in video games, or just finding some other shit to do. Because there's no, it's too fluid, it's too liquid, it's too, anything goes and nobody knows their role. And I mean, imagine being in the military and trying to like get logistics done and you're running around asking people what their MOS is, you know what I mean? And it's just all over the place. It's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, well, I feel like doing this today. Okay, you go back to the next day, okay, what is your role here? Well, I feel like doing this the other thing today. Like, what? You can't even keep up with it. And for men it's like a safeguard position, but because again, you can go anywhere, if you just stick to the traditional roles. It's very simple to do, right? But I just had to ask the question, like, how many women, how many of y'all, like, y'all really want, to operate like a man and function, like a man? Because the only way that you can do that is a man has to play the subordinate position. He has to play the bitch position. And the funny thing is like, again, y'all don't even track it to that. Right? Now, let me say this, he who has the gold, she who has the gold has the power, right? So are there women out here who will be like Robin Givens in Boomerang, and leave the money by the dresser and chill? Oh, yeah, sure there are. Especially if a woman is in a, particular, position of power. Yeah, definitely. I always find it interesting, the women who are like the daughters of men who are multimillionaires. Like, God damn, like, how does that work? Like, look at Michael Bloomberg's, daughter, his son-in-law took his last name. I mean, how do you even challenge that? You know what I mean? Like, well, yeah, why does your last name need to go on? It's my legacy. I'm the one with the $80 billion. Like, it's like, how do you argue with that? You can't really argue with that, you know, because it's Michael Bloomberg's legacy. It's not yours. Like, who the fuck is you? you know, I just always and I've seen I know a few women whose fathers are extremely wealthy, and it's just like I mean, I'm a guy, but I'm like, God, I would so not want to be them, when it comes to like marriage. They try to go out there and link up with well-to-do people. I mean, at best, the best that they can do is basically marry the son of a rich man. That way, it's kind of more evenly yoked. That's the best that they can do. You know what I mean? But no self-made man is going to want to link up with her, if he's got a whole bunch of pride about himself. Like they had that woman from the Shark Tank. I forget what her name is, but she brought up the point about why she doesn't work with rich kids because they think they know it all. And one of the points that she made that stuck out to me was where she said, the poor kids got something to prove. She was like, I know I'm going to be successful because it's not just about money with them. They have something to prove. So she's like, yeah, those are the ones that I like to work with. And why did I bring that point up? There's a reason I brought that point about people having something to prove. And damn, there's a reason I brought that up. Can't think of why I brought that up. Damn it. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, the well-to-do people linking up with each other. Yeah, yeah, a guy that has something to prove and whatnot. Like he doesn't want to live in the shadow of Michael Bloomberg, and what his achievements are, and he's trying to carve his own name out here in the world. Like he doesn't want to do that, So women that come from these wealthy families, and I always wonder. I'm like, damn, like there's no way for your husband, who's just a regular guy, and even if he's kick ass, like he's the brightness of your father is just totally whiting out, his. It's like when you get a red dot on a. Well, I'm talking gun shit. Y'all don't know. A lot of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you get a red dot on a pistol or a rifle. When you point it in the daylight, if it's not bright enough, it'll wash out because obviously the sun and the ambient light is brighter than the damn, red dot, which is, I can see it. Yeah, indoors and at nighttime and shit like that. But sometimes it'll wash out. And that's how, a man will feel living in the shadow of a woman's father who's got, millions of dollars and, is just this, kick-ass. But I mean, like, seriously, like, who wants to date Shaq's daughters? You know what I mean? Like some people might have the mindset, oh, I'll be set. Like, some men have more pride than that. But I just wonder. I'm like, how many women, like, it's like the whole quote unquote penis envy thing. I'm like, do you really want to do this? Or is it just, you're just mad because, oh, men can, and it's just like a thing, and if you were to do it, it would just be a phase, and then you would go right back to being, a woman. You were like, I just needed to get it out of my system. I mean, it's part of the reason why a lot of women like fucking with thugs and bad boys and shit like that, because, they don't feel judged. You know what I mean? I've definitely heard my fill of women who, like, they want to go out there and they want to fuck just like a dude. Yeah, I want to fuck them and not feel anything and just walk out the door. Like, I hear women say that, but, and I know there's women that can be like that, but I don't know. I just don't think that women engage in that type of behavior without there being some sort of damage that she's already gone through, or some sort of trauma, or, there will be trauma that will be caused by her going out there and engaging in that type of behavior. I had an ex of mine. She had a really hard time, with the idea that, like, sex, for men it's like a biological function. We don't need all the emotions and everything else like that, right? Granted, like, guys don't like being in a relationship with a woman or being with a woman, and a woman like, um, she kind of comes off like, okay, yeah, I need you to hit this and then get the fuck out. Like, most men don't like that. It's like Cap has this saying where he's like, you can, what does he say? You can pay a woman to give you some pussy, but you can't pay a woman to fuck you. It's like his motto. And I do get what he means, by that. And I'm just saying, a lot of guys, they don't like the idea of a woman, just, they want the illusion of that a woman has feelings for them, even though they kind of act like, they're cold and they don't care. So, like, I guess men do have some feelings as it pertains to it. They don't like every woman the same. Some women they like more than others. Some women they have stronger feelings than others and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, I hear this rhetoric coming from women, like they want to go out there and they want to do, the same thing. Right? You ever see, like, what game was that? What not game, what show was that? Was it Game of Thrones, where the queen, like, she had the guy, he was chained up against the wall. You can find it on YouTube. And then she goes in and sits on his, like, he's literally, like, he's captured. And she sits on his dick, and then she's like, right? She's just riding him. She comes, and then she gets off of him like, yeah, I fucked him. You know what I mean? It's such an awkward scene. Like, it's like, okay, you know what I mean? But it's like, I'm like, you fucked him? And he's like, what are you doing, woman? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just a weird scene because it doesn't have the same impact. I mean, technically speaking, that scene it's a rape scene. It's sexual assault. I mean, she sexually assaulted him, and like, and I don't, I wasn't big on watching like the whole series. I think it was Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? I wasn't big on watching the whole series, so I don't know what the motivations were of her character, but like, that scene embodies to me like what I hear from, Ali Wong about like what she wants to go out here and do. Because those things, I'm just saying, those rewards are not in place for women. I'll be the first one to acknowledge it. If you think that you're going to go out there as a woman and you're going to gain power and wealth and respect, and you got this kick-ass career, like, I see what's so funny is I see female physicians going through that right now. Women who have graduated, and I mean, it's like clockwork. They'll graduate, they've accomplished, they're MDs, they're doctors now, and I give it like a year before they start making all type of posts about the loneliness and wanting a man and everything. And I'm just sitting there saying to myself, like, I think you kind of priced yourself out of the market, because you only want to date up. You only want to date up. And I'm saying, if you're not a hot female doctor, like these other dudes, like they're at the peak of their shit. Like, they can go out there and they can run through a bunch of very attractive women, and it's what they do. They just run through them. You know what I mean? But and so, they, most of them eventually settle down. You see a lot of that, with the Indians, because they're not really known for game and running through women, and they got all these, freaking pressures. You must marry your first cousin. I mean, all that bullshit going on, right? But like, I see the women, they struggle. Because guys, the good looking ones, guys will fuck them. But, in terms of the type of money that they're making, they're like, nah, I'm good, man. How much she make? 320? I'm good. I'm out. Nope. No, thank you. So, and then, you get this fucking, the whorish bullshit that goes on in healthcare, and that's a whole nother conversation, and nurses and everybody's fucking each other and all that shit. Like, it's like, nobody really wants to be involved in that. Nobody wants to be in that environment. But the women don't, I mean, point blank period. You give a man $100,000, you give a woman $100,000, and you say, okay, go out into society and play. The men have way more fun than the women do. You know what I mean? The women are like, I can't find anybody on my level. Men are out. Men are fucking the waitress at Denny's. You know what I mean? As long as she's hot. You know what I'm saying? Men are at the club popping bottles, getting bottle service. You know what I mean? Like just wearing freaking their suits, and women are like, oh my god, he has all the symbols of status, right? That's the majority of women out here. They see status symbols. They see, oh, clean cut, polished man. If he physically takes care of himself, oh man, please let me go sit on his cock. Right? But women, they don't get that same reaction. And a lot of guys, one of the things I can't stand about when I talk to like Muslims, they'll tell you, oh, the women, they're just, I'm like, motherfucker, you don't know. Like, they don't even entertain the possibility that women have different feelings. They get on my nerves with that bullshit. I'm like, when somebody says they feel a certain way, I believe them. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you're not down with this. Oh, okay. Okay, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about this situation? But you get, certain old school groups of people that they want to speak for women. I'm like, yo, don't speak for her. Let her speak for herself. What? Because I want to know that women are on this type of shit. And especially, it should be shared, because, I just think there's a whole bunch of arrogance where men run around and be like, yes, and women, and all they want to do is be pregnant and barefoot and bear my children. Really? I'm like, what if she doesn't want to do that? Right? And again, the problem is society has no space for her if she doesn't want to do that. But for men, all men can do is the traditional role, and that's it, because society has no space for men outside of that. So it's kind of the same thing. But women, but men are, we look at women and we're like, but you can do either or. We can only do one thing. We can't do either or, because we get disrespected when it comes to either or. Plus, whatever your your own personal convictions are and whatnot. Like, again, Cap had a horrible childhood, and he was subjected to adults that were being irresponsible and things that were negatively affecting him. So because of that, he's a control freak. And that tends to be what happens to children that are negatively affected by the actions of adults, and they're too young to be able to do anything about it and stand on their own, until the day that they get emancipated, right? So Cap he's a control freak on a whole different level, right? Because of those childhood traumas. But what was I going to say about, just, damn, what was I going to say? Some men in general and the whole aspect of control. Damn, I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, I'm just saying, that women like Ali Wong, who want to engage in male behavior. I'm thinking. What it is? It's like women. It's like the only way that success is defined is through how males engage in success. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like how do women engage in success? What do women do? Like, again, going back to Ali Wong, what do women do for fun when they're winning? Right? But the thing is like, how is a man supposed to, like, don't get me wrong, you get that kick-ass degree, you accomplish something, you get that promotion. Oh yeah, I'll give you all the praise and accolades in the world, especially if, you're a loved one, family member, best friend of mine, whatever. Oh yeah, you'll get all the praise and accolades and all that other shit. But what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to be oiled up on the bed waiting when you get home with rose petals and shit like that. Nah, I ain't doing no shit like that. The fuck? You know what I mean? And so it's like, how many women are you all actually looking for that, or is this just kind of like a intellectual masturbation session? You're just exercising, in mental futility, just because you don't like the way that it sounds. Because again, I make the same argument against the dudes. It's like I remember, Cap used to have this joke that he used to tell me all the time. Because he owned his own business, and he was like, I get up one day and he looked himself in the mirror because I don't know, he didn't get the shit he needed done, and he was like, that's it. He's looking at himself in the mirror and says, "You're fired." Talking to himself, "You're fired." Then pauses for a couple minutes or a couple seconds and goes, "Now get back to work." So it's like, it's at the end of the day, men are men, and it's like, no matter what women do, like, we always have to have the shit covered. Perfect example. A guy can get married to a woman. This is the age-old example I've always used. A guy marries a woman and they agree in 50-50, and then, she has the first baby and then decides after that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. If you don't have her end covered, it doesn't matter what she agreed to. She's going to go and run around and, compare and contrast you against other men that have stay-at-home wives. She'll run around and complain to family and friends that you're not manning up and you're not being a real man and all this other stuff. It's like, even though that's not even what you signed up for. To me, I don't trust women. I don't trust women with sex. I don't trust women with not getting pregnant. I don't trust women with the idea that it's okay for you to make less money. I don't trust them. I don't know why men, subscribe to that and they believe this bullshit, and then they get jammed up, and the next thing you know, they're crying, "She threw me out. She threw my stuff out." Right? "She put me on the street." Now they over there looking like a little bitch. And meanwhile, even though she's a fucking liar, she's the biggest hypocrite in the world. She can go back and play, the dainty little, little girl. Like, she can go back and do that. And nobody's going to say shit to her. Nobody's going to be like, "You said equality, bitch." Like, nobody's going to check her about that. Nobody's going to say, "You need to go out there and pick up your 50%. Nobody's going to say that. Even though she was running around, having Amber Heard marches and talking about feminism and equality, and y'all need to do this, and women can do anything a man could do, and da 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 da. Even though she was talking all that shit, y'all need to operate differently instead of having these misogynistic ideas of gender roles, right? All of that, right? Y'all go out there and you all can just freaking just talk all this shit. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to, the day of judgment at the hands of the community, men cannot deviate at all from what their role is. Otherwise, we just get shit on. And that's why men are as sexist as they are and resistant as they are to, any of these changes, because like, women will give lip services to these changes, but when it really comes down to it, like, no, you'll get ripped apart by both the feminist and the trad con women. There's no getting around it. It doesn't matter how much you identify how hypocritical the women are. If you're not in the position to hold the fort 10 toes down, if you fail, you will get, hit with the weakness bat. He's weak. He's weak, ladies. He's weak. It's just nuts. And I'm just totally blown away at the idea. I was about to say perplexed, but I'm blown away at the idea that you have women that like. I'm like, okay, you want to wear the pants, you want the rewards to come to you because it's not even about control and decision making. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I didn't. I gotta watch the entire special, but I'm saying I didn't hear anything about I want to have control because I want to be able to boss shit around. I didn't hear any of that in the clips that I heard. What I heard is I'm mad that if I achieve X, Y, and Z, I don't get to basically have all the fun like guys do. What if I want to run through a bunch of bitches? Why can't I just go out there and run through a bunch of bitches? And again, I've heard enough women talk about having this type of phase. I've already talked about this when it comes to Muslim women, Indian women, Arab women that run around fucking with African American dudes because they can basically do the same shit Madison Brooks was doing down there at LSU before she unfortunately got hit by a car, because they can go around fuck with black men. Black men are not in their community. Most black men are smooth enough, slick enough, and smart enough to know to keep their fucking mouth shut. Other than, of course, when we come online and we talk some shit, but we know to preserve the chick's reputation. You know what I'm saying? We know what the game is. You see her at the mall with her brother and her family. Yeah, we gonna act like we don't even know each other, even though last night we was fucking. Right? We know the game. Right? So I'm saying, there's women, they want to do stuff like this and I don't know why black men are so surprised, or you get these, these black men that like they want to get all religious and throw up scripture. I'm like, why y'all niggas doing it with other races of women? What makes you think this ain't the same way? And then any other time, we already know that they're doing it with Pookie and Ray Ray and all that other shit. So like, I don't understand like men that jump up and they start flipping through their Bible and reading Leviticus and just throwing shit up. I don't get that part, because I'm like, yeah, women get horny too. Your mama was horny, that's why you here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get that. I don't know. I'm not against sex. I'm against babies underneath conditions where there's no resources. As I've always said, I'm not anti people getting their jollies off. Shit, as long as she keeps her mouth shut and the dude keeps his, ain't nobody gonna know. Nobody knows what you did last night. You know what I mean? Shut the fuck up. I don't know why that's so hard for people. What's your body count? Like, trust me, dude, you don't want to know, and trust me, chick, you don't need to answer. I'm like, I don't understand these people with that shit. But yeah, I mean, in order for a woman to play that sort of position, I'm like, it will require a man to basically operate in a manner that 98% of women on planet Earth are going to find unattractive. And I'm like, what is the point in that? I don't. I've seen women try to do that whole I'm gonna go out here and fuck dude. They always come out damaged. And then this is where you get women who they blame society, or they blame, the patriarchy or the remnants of patriarchy, because the only reason they feel bad or ashamed is because the greater society is patriarchal and doesn't allow women. And I'll give some credence to that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll recognize that. I'm like, yeah, we still do live in a patriarchal society, and yeah, it frowns upon, promiscuous women, and so yeah, I get it. I get it. You know. So for those women that'll say, oh, why can't we do those things? And we want to do those things, but we know that what society will say. I'm like, well, here's what's interesting. That's literally the same thing I'm saying about when it comes to men and they don't play traditional roles. And then this is where for Harriet comes through and she says, see, patriarchy oppresses men too. You see? Right? But the thing about patriarchy when it comes to men is the ugly reality is if men stop doing what they're doing, everything collapses. everything fucking collapses. For further evidence, I direct you to a black community nearest you. Right? So men can never let up, unless you want to go back to the Stone Ages. They just can't. I mean, what the role that men play is, I mean, it's a vital position. I mean, I used to talk about women used to be like, we give birth. And I'm like, those birth of those children don't mean anything if once they get here, there's no sustenance, there's no resources, there's no shelter, there's nothing to allow those children to thrive, not just barely survive or perish, right? So I don't care how much life you bring into the world if it can't be, maintained. But what was the point in bragging about that? It's like having babies in the middle of the H cost, right? Doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. Same thing with slavery. Doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. But yeah, I need to end this video, but I'm just saying, I mean, y'all think about it. I would like to hear some responses from some women. I'm like, that's really what y'all want to do? You want to pull up in your whip and holler at a dude and him get in the passenger seat and look at you and bat his eyelashes? Like, what is a nigga supposed to do? Like, I'm like, this is what y'all want to do? I mean, yeah, it does look like quote unquote penis envy. That's what it looks like. It's like, damn, like, this is where, you want to talk about, black men are imitation white men. This is where black women are like imitation men. I'm like, why don't y'all come up with your own shit? I guess they can't. You know what I mean? But it's like, sometimes I'm like, why does everything have to be, I'm imitating a man? Right? Everything that men do. Like, you see this with the butch dyke lesbian, like, you see them with the shit. Like, why you gotta act like a black man? Why you gotta act like a dude? Why can't you just be like a lesbian? You like women and you messing with women. I'm not saying that you gotta be overly feminine, but why do you have to try to act like you're a black man? You're not a black man. And notice when they try to act like a black man, when you look at studs aren't trying to be ELs. You notice that? Show me a EL stud. There's no such thing. This might lead us into a whole nother conversation because people are like, he's right. I've never seen an EL stud. No, you've never seen an EL stud. Studs are always trying to act like street niggas. Studs are always trying to act like they live on O Block. It's some weird shit. It's just weird shit. But I'm just blown away at the idea. I'm like, damn, like, you want to fucking grab the back of my neck? Like, what? That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. I'm not going to be your fucking cheerleader. I'm not going to be oiled up on the bed waiting for you to get back. Like, I'm saying, if I knew how to cook like that, yeah, I might cook something for you, like, special occasion or some shit like that. But nah, we're not reversing this. Like, no. But I just have to ask the question, like, how many women genuinely want to do that because they have a desire to do that? And how much of that is just kind of like, like a middle finger to the patriarchy, I guess. You're just kind of like, witness me, witness, right? Like, because there's no reward system for women that are successful like that. It just doesn't exist. And I don't think it's something that men think about enough. I'm just saying, put it in your pipe and smoke it. But there is no reward system. And I totally, from a human standpoint, I totally get why women are like, where's mine, right? But like I said, if they want it to be the same thing, just the opposite, then it would require men to be in a very unattractive position. And I'm like, is that what you want? Not that I'm, espousing it or saying, they're giving it to you, but I'm like, is that what you want though? That's what I want to know. Is that what you want? Anyway, I'm about to freaking pass out. So yeah, feel free to answer the question as best as you all can. That's all I gotta say. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.